Okay, listen, pay attention. You see, this is the history of the invasion of the British Empire on Benin Kingdom. You see, everyone has a story to tell, but not all stories get told. But this is the story. This is the untold history of the invasion of the British Empire in the Kingdom of Benin in the year 1897. You see, in the November 1896, the British Deputy Commissioner and Counsel, who happens to be James Philip Roberts, decided to visit the Benin Empire. He decided to meet with Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi, who happens to be the Oba of Benin at that time. James stated that he wanted to visit the Oba in regards to the trade agreement that the Oba had with the British, but he was not keeping. Therefore, James formally wrote to his superiors in London, requesting for a permission to visit the Oba of Benin in the Kingdom of Benin Empire. But you see, without waiting for permission or reply, James set out on an expedition to visit the Oba in January 1896. In January 1896, the British delegation set out on the Oil Rivers Protectorate to visit the Oba of Benin. When it was arriving in Benin, the Oba General perceived this delegation to be an attempt to depose the Oba of Benin, who happens to be Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi. And so, he, the Oba General, unilaterally ordered an attack on the delegation. This delegation was made up of 8 unknown British representatives and 100 porters and African laborers, hundreds in number. I come again, this delegation was made up of 8 unknown British representatives and 100 porters of African laborers. These were the people that were in this delegation. And then they were attacked by these general's men because the general has given an order. James' expedition were attacked and all but 2 were killed. You see, pay attention to this. According to Lindenvist, in his book, Exterminate All Brutes, he stated that, yes, James Phillips stated that him visiting the Oba of Benin was to negotiate with him. But actually, that was a disguise, that he wanted to get a smooth entry into the Oba's palace so he can unleash his initial interior motivation, which was to depose Oba of Benin. And those 100 laborers and porters were actually troops in disguise. He stated that the Oba's messengers had earlier sent warnings to James not to set his foot on the territorial sovereignty of the Benin Empire. But they were not able to see James because they were having ceremony at that time. But despite so much warning that was sent to James, James went further to send his stick to Oba of Benin, a deliberate insult fashioned to provoke the conflict that will give an excuse for the British invasion in the Benin Empire. And at the end of the day, they succeeded, because after James' expedition were invaded, the British now gave an order to Sir Harry Lawson to carry out a punitive expedition against the Benin Empire. This led to the razing of the city. This led to the looting of the Benin Blowns. This led to the fall of the fortification of the Benin Empire. The man-made structure, the highest man-made structure that was bigger than the Great Wall of China, was brought down, and Benin was looted and burned down. The British had an order to execute Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi, but Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi went into hiding in the forest. He spent 6 months in the forest, and later on the 5th of August, 1897, he came out to officially surrender to the British Empire. When he was coming out, he was dressed and laden in kola beads, and he was accompanied by 700 to 800 people. Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi attempted to escape exile by offering the Consul General, who happens to be Rafma, he offered him 200 barrels of oil, which was worth 1,500 pounds at that time, and he was ready to disclose where he buried his 500 ivory tocks, which worth 2 million pounds at that time. But Rafma refused to offer. He refused the offer because he had already discovered where Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi buried those ivory tocks that worth over 2 million pounds at that time. Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi was humiliated and flogged before his subjects. How dare you flog a king, you barbarians! Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi was sent into exile in Calabar with two of his wives, Queen Egbe and Queen Eleboha. He was welcomed and hosted in a small town in Calabar. Yes, our own Calabar. He was welcomed and hosted in a small town known as Essien Town by Etihin Essien Etim Efyong, who happens to be the progenitor of the Essien Town. Oba Ovonramwen Nogbaisi lived and died in the early days of 1914, the year Nigeria was amalgamated. He died, and his body was buried in the palace ground in Benin Empire Kingdom, and he was succeeded by his son, who happens to be the prince, the heir apparent to the throne, and he ruled as Eweke II. You see, this is the sad history of the fall of the Benin Empire. But today, the descendants of Benin in the present day Nigeria travel from Africa to London, pay hundreds of dollars and pounds to watch the exhibition of their ancestral heritage, displayed in the British Museum. They watch the artifacts and the bronze that were taken from their ancestors by strategy and stratagem. They watch it by paying so much money. An African child born in Africa that want to learn about his ancestors have to travel to Britain to learn about it. And we say the world is fair. Until everything stolen by strategy and stratagem is returned, you cannot talk about human rights. Listen, as long as the lions do not have historians, it is the exploits of the hunters that will be celebrated rather than the bravery of the lions. But today, the lions are having historians, and that is why we are speaking. Africa, wisdom is the principal thing. Remember, you can always request for a book from me. All you need to do is to go to my bio. You will see a contact number there. Send it a WhatsApp message, and book will be made available to you in 24 hours. Books on history, books on politics, books on your ancestral heritage, so you can get to know about more of historical aficionados. Remember, reading is a mental calisthenics. A mind that does not read does not learn. So when you request for books, books will be given to you free of charge. You see the link in my bio is also for my YouTube channel. You will see other premium content. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel and get access to pictorial of information. I love you and I cherish you. Don't forget who you are. You were first an African before you were divided by boundaries. I love you and I care about you, Africa. Remember, modern day Tankoya loves you, but God loves you more. Remember, wisdom, Africa, is a principal thing.